So you're here, and you want to get here. Traversing this gap is reliant on 4 main factors: training, nutrition, adherence, and well-being. Well-being in this instance is a broad term that I'm using to represent things both physical and psychological. Do you get enough sleep? Are you enthusiastic about your training? Are you bored? Are you stressed? Are you free from injury? And the reason this is a factor is because generally happy and healthy people get better results. So your nutrition will certainly affect your well-being, and your well-being will certainly affect how well you are able to adhere, meaning that your nutrition indirectly affects your adherence also. How well you manage your nutrition will undeniably have an impact on your training, and your training will affect your well-being, and your well-being would also affect your training, which would affect your adherence, which would affect it back, and soon what you get is a big clusterfuck of synergistic cause and effect relationships, but it's just words and arrows, and so you can scribble that shit out and say, therefore, balance is required. Or in a sentence, you could say, to undertake a successful shredding season, I need to balance my methods, i.e. training and nutrition protocols, with real-world considerations. Or maybe a bit less robotically, I need an approach to training and nutrition that is as easy as possible to stick to within the boundaries of what is sufficiently effective and promotes overall health and well-being. So the reason that I'm not just diving straight in with training programs and macros is because over the years of helping people online, one thing I've learned is that nothing will work if you don't treat humans like humans. Theoretical optimal is rarely real world optimal, because sometimes we miss training sessions, or get bored of eating broccoli, or get a new job, or lose 5 pounds over a long weekend in Ibiza, or the family guinea pig dies and we sink into a demotivated state of apathy, or whatever it is. All that human shit just happens. So expect it and be prepared. Okay, let's get to some specifics. Setting calories. Ideally, you've been tracking your calories recently, either bulking or maintaining your weight. If so, chances are you've been bulking on a rough 300 calorie surplus, so you would take off 800 calories to give you roughly a 500 calorie deficit. Of course, if you've just been at maintenance, you just take off 500. If you haven't been tracking, you can use Google to find some online calculators for your TDEE, your typical daily energy expenditure. Use a calculator that takes into account your general activity level and includes as much info as possible, so the more info it asks you for, the more accurate it will be. I've linked a couple of these in the description of this video. Alternatively, you can use the Harris-Benedict equation to get a theoretical basal metabolic rate, and then you can multiply by a factor based on your activity levels to get a TDEE. Of course, this is just the best you can do theoretically, and you will have to monitor your weight over the coming weeks and adjust accordingly. A rate of weight loss between 0.5 and 1% of your total body weight per week is advisable. Personally, I will be looking at 1.5 to 2 pounds per week for the first few, and then closer to a pound per week for the majority of the cut, and then towards the final stages, anywhere from 0.5 to 1 pound per week. So as a general rule, your rate of weight loss can and will slow over the course of the cut. In general, losing weight really fast, bad. Losing weight really slow, bad. Nobody wants to cut forever because pizza's nice. Setting macros. Protein. Generally, people like to go with 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's fine, but seems to be a slight overestimation based on studies. You'd certainly be safe with around 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. But as we're talking about overall body weight here, your body composition also needs considering. For example, a 180 pound person who is 15% body fat will require more protein than a 180 pound person who is 20% body fat. That's because their lean mass will be greater. Protein also has the highest thermic effect of all the macronutrients, which means it takes more calories to digest, and this contributes to protein having a higher satiety rating than carbs or fats, which in the real world means higher protein diets may negate hunger and therefore make it easier to stick to your calories. So let's just go with 1 gram per pound to keep shit simple. 2 dudes, Eric Helms and Menno Henselmans, they do proper legit science and stuff. Well, they had this big, huge debate about optimal protein intake.
You don't need that much protein, lad, you'll have the wildies.
As if, mate, you love going catabolic.
If you really wanted to, I suppose, if you literally had nothing else left on planet Earth to pass your time with, you could go and read that. It is a lot of pages about protein, so personally I think I'm just gonna eat 1 gram per pound and then carry on with my life. Carbs and fats are a little bit more flexible, and the high carb argument is that more carbs equal more glycogen storage, which should equal better lifts overall when accounting for delayed fatigue. This should in turn affect muscle retention, i.e. negate lean body mass losses, aka maintaining lifts equals keeping gains. The high fat argument is that diets high in fat can have a positive hormonal effect, i.e. lead to higher test levels, which could result in overall better body composition. Personally, I sit more on the former camp than the latter, so tend to go just above my minimum fat requirement and fill remaining calories with carbs, i.e. keeping them as high as possible within calories. So I will start with 0.4 grams of fat per pound of body weight, and I may even reduce that slightly further down the line. Beyond macros, there are these things called vitamins and minerals that you need or you die. So as a general rule, just eat loads, and if you can't get loads, at least try to have an apple and some berries every day and some green veg every other day. If you can't manage that, then I just literally do not know what to say. Maybe just have a sit down and think about when you plan on becoming an actual adult. The other good thing about fruit and veg is that it actually fills you up a lot because of the high fiber and high water content, and typically that should make it easier for you to stick to your calories. If you need to blend shit up in order to force yourself to eat a single bit of green stuff, blend shit up, man. Caffeine is good, but too much of a good thing is bad. So use it wisely so it can help with your performance and help suppress your appetite between meals. Don't use it irresponsibly, or it will just fuck your concentration, fuck your sleep, and generally just turn you into some horrible little cracky cretin creature thing. So if you are in danger of having an issue with that, look at imposing an upper limit and a latest time for consuming caffeine. So mine personally will be 2 cups of coffee plus 1 Monster. I don't drink Monsters anywhere near every day, but when I do, that will be the limit. At the latest, I will consume caffeine at 3 p.m. I usually sleep between 12:30 a.m. and 8 a.m.-ish, so if you sleep and rise earlier than that, bring your consumption forward. Training. I'm going to be doing my usual training split, which consists of a push day, a pull day, and a leg day. On top of that, I'll throw in a dedicated arms and abs day here and there. That's partly because I've been training arms a little more recently and I've been enjoying it, and partly to give me the option of fucking biceps and triceps off at the end of my pull and push workouts if I can't be bothered or if I'm bored. So this kind of goes back to those human considerations that we talked about earlier. I'll be putting in rest days whenever it's convenient or when I feel like I need one. I'll aim to average 2 rest days per week. It's unlikely that they will ever come consecutively. So my schedule on a calendar could look something like this. I personally don't have a regular weekly schedule, so my training doesn't have to be tied to the calendar week. If you have a regular work or study schedule, aim for a regular training and rest schedule. Exercise choices. My main horizontal press will be flat dumbbell press. My main vertical shoulder press will be barbell OHP. My main leg press movement will be walking lunges. My main vertical pull down will be neutral grip lat pull downs. Reps and sets for all the above will be consistent, and I'll be tracking those lifts. Everything else will be pretty much made up as I go along based on doing whatever the fuck I feel like doing in the moment, and that is certainly not optimal, but I'm having a break from following structured programs for a bit because I've been doing it a while, mate, and boredom is catabolic. Cardio. It's good to start off with a bare minimum amount of cardio so that you know you'll be able to keep that amount consistent each week. That way you can look at your weight loss and judge it based on steady calorie intake and steady amount of cardio. So then when you need to increase your deficit, you can increase cardio, decrease calories, or both. Personally, I'm going to be hitting a punch bag and running on a treadmill once each per week for about 20 to 25 minutes. Any increases will go from there. Supplements. Whey protein for convenience. Creatine because it works, and yes, even when cutting. Stim-free pre-workout because I want to drink pre-workout but also want to drink coffee and Monsters. Okay, some quick stuff I didn't cover yet. Intermittent fasting. Good for helping you stick to your calories, but does not result in more fat loss than typical eating schedules when calories are controlled. Meal timing. Doesn't really matter, just hit your macros. Meal frequency doesn't really matter, just hit your macros. Strength loss, it might happen a bit towards the end of your cut, but in general it's quite overblown if your deficit isn't too great. Don't go in expecting it, because placebo is a thing, and if you assume you're going to be weaker, it will make it more likely. Types of cardio doesn't really matter. Carb cycling, nah. Fat burners, nah, they're just mostly caffeine and then a load of mad plant extract shit that aren't really proven to do anything. Refeed days, good idea. Back up to maintenance or a touch above as often as you can get away with while still losing weight at a decent rate. Not actually necessary really though. Weight loss plateaus, might happen, probably will happen. Be patient, reduce calories if scales are stuck for longer than 10-ish days. Cut duration, as long as it needs to be, but longer is generally better because that allows for a slower rate of weight loss. However, too long, still not ideal. Alcohol, bad, practice moderation. Fasted cardio, it's just cardio, no better, no worse. Binging, it does happen. If it was heavy as fuck, take a couple of 100 calories from the next few days, i.e. spread out the cost, and then just get back on the horse. Don't try and account for all of the calories overeaten in the day following, or that will just lead you to the binge-starve cycle of doom. About that last bit of stubborn fat though, more of the same. What about sugar though? Sugar from fruit is fine. Sugar from jelly babies, not ideal, but not going to do much damage. Provided you are hitting your micronutrients and within your calories, don't worry about it. Tracking sources, yes. Nando's is low as fucking calories, by the way, and Costco sell it by the litre. I've got some. I'm sick. P.S. Chili-based sauces are generally lower calorie than barbecue sauces or other sauces with a sugar base. What about cravings though? Drink some green tea or go to bed or have an apple or just give into it and cut back on calories elsewhere. Okay, bye! Bye!
Delaney is my hero!